Real Country 1430 AM and 107.3 FM WRDN. Good morning, Brian Winnikins, as we continue our spotlight of the Auth family farm this month. Thank you to Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin for supporting our Dairy Farm Family Spotlights. And Dustin joins us as we get ready to find out a little bit about the cows. And Dustin's getting ready to eventually take over the entire farm. And we're going to find out this morning how Dustin and the family takes care of their cows here on the farm. And Dustin, thanks for joining us. Okay, your dad told me, 500 cows?
Yeah, we milk about 500 cows 3 times a day right now. Yep.
Three times. Okay. So I'm going to throw the first question out here that gets everybody all worked up. Any farmer, and it's, what color are the cows? It's kind of like tractors. Okay. Do we have black and whites? Do we have browns? What do we have?
I guess we have black and whites and a couple brown ones. The girls like to have the brown ones around. It's kind of like their little pets. So we usually have a couple of them floating around the barns and the pens, and everybody's like, oh, look at number 3674, and that's like their little pet that they have. So it's kind of fun, yeah.
Got to have the diva in the barn.
Right, you got to have the diva in the barn.
There you go. Okay, so I guess let's first start out with the calves. So do you have them in the same facility, or do you have a separate facility just for them?
So we had kind of a mess of things going on when we first started expanding, and we had hutches outside, hutches in an old pig pen, stuff like that. So we decided a few years ago to build a calf barn, and I think that's been a good decision for us. It's made doing chores a lot easier for everybody that does them, and taking care of the calves. It's mechanically ventilated, so you can decide how much airflow you want. You're not dependent on the weather. We all know as farmers, being dependent on the weather doesn't work. So we could turn the fans up a little bit. In the wintertime, believe it or not, you look at the barn like, well, that's going to be warm in there. But actually, we need to have 4 exchanges per hour of air. So all the air has got to move out of there, and all the fresh air has got to come in every 4 times every hour. So it's usually quite cold in there. So the calves actually got jackets on, just like they would if they're an outside hut, but the air's fresh, they stay healthy, and it's, you don't have the snow coming down or the rain. Seems like it's worked out well for us.
Now, when calves are first born, there's a lot of things that you and the family have to do to protect that calf. Tell us about some of that.
Yeah, that's obviously the most vulnerable the calves are to disease. So when they're first born, first of all, we vaccinate the cow, so when they get that first gallon of colostrum, that's one of the first things we do is try getting a gallon of colostrum into the calf. And we take the newborn calf, we test the colostrum that the cow had, and if it's not good enough as far as having the right things that the calves need to get a good start, we actually add a balancer or a supplement to it and mix it in. That way it is to the level that they need. And if it looks bad enough, it just gets discarded, and then we use a colostrum replacer, we call it. So that's what we do there. And then they actually get vaccinated at that same time with a couple different vaccines to help them with pneumonia and scours. So we do that and dip their navel so it can't enter in. But the main thing we kind of do there too is just make sure they're in a clean environment. So each one of the cows, when they goes in to have a calf, we clean the pen in between, and they're in their individual little, box stall, basically, for lack of a better term, where they have their baby. So.
Talking with Dustin Auth this morning with Auth Family Farms. Thank you to Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin for spotlighting the Auth Farms this morning or all this month. And now with the cows, the milking cows. What type of? Do you have a parlor? Do you still have the old-fashioned stanchion, or do you have, like Alpha Long Farms, have the merry-go-round?
So we have a double 12 rapid exit parlor, which we've had the same basic system since 1998. So when we first went to 200 cows, we built that parlor. It was actually double 8, then we expanded to double 12 as we added cows. But it enables us to get the cows milked in plenty of time. Like each group of cows is only in there for around an hour, maybe even a little bit less. So it goes really well for us. We retrofitted a new rapid exit parlor in there here. That's been 2 years ago. So got that. Everything's updated. Everything's working great, and it works well as a system, So, no, it's worked out well for us.
When the farm has to milk, everything has to stay clean. At all of the dairy farms I go to, that's all you. I think that's you spend more time cleaning than doing anything else.
Well, it's kind of, yeah. I mean, we're doing dishes all the time, I guess you could say it that way. We've got in between, there's 2 hours in between milking shifts, but we're cleaning all the time. But in that 2 hours, everything is ran through a sanitized detergent cycle. So everything is cleaned out, sanitized, and redone. And then we spray everything off. Any manure, any debris is gotten rid of. Cleanliness is a very important part of it. Our cheese factory actually just sent out a letter and they're how certain types of bacteria can disrupt their cheese making process, and they're trying to get into making like more artisan type cheeses in O'Galley. And certain types of bacteria can make their cheese wedges kind of explode. So they're trying hard to get us to do the right things, which we've always done anyhow, and we've never really had a problem. But it goes to show that cleanliness matters, and we need to make sure our product is safe. It's tested multiple times for antibiotics, tested multiple times for different types of bacteria. It just makes us all be better farmers, and we want to make a good product for the consumer. So that's our goal.
How long does the average cow here at Auth Farms get milked?
You mean as far as time per milking?
How many months or how long are they on the milk line?
They're about it. Usually they're in the milk line for 9-10 months. Then they're dry for 2 months. So dry means it kind of like they get to go on their mini vacation. They go in a separate pen, don't have to get milk. They can just relax, and then they get ready to have their calf. And once they have their calf, then they come back into the milk line, and then they got to go back to work per se.
What happens when a cow gets sick? It happens to everything on this planet. So if a cow is sick and it's in the milk line, then what?
Well, when the cow is sick and she's in the milk line, depends on what we have to treat the cow with. There's certain things you can give a cow, like aspirin and stuff like that, just like we take, that you don't have to take out of the milk line. But if you need to give a little bit more of a aggressive antibiotic or treatment level, then we need to take them out of the milk line. We don't milk, we discard that milk. We actually would use that in our pasteurizer, feed the calves. Or if she's really bad, then we would take her out of the milk line and have her take a little break while she's getting able to recuperate in another pen.
Talking with Dustin Auth this morning with Auth Farms as we spotlight the Auth Farms this month with Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. You have a pasteurizer here?
Yes, we pasteurize our milk for our waste milk for our calves. We actually don't make enough waste milk. When we first started doing this, we were thinking, we have plenty of waste milk to feed the calves, but everything's gotten better. We're doing a better job of cleanliness, a better job of keeping the cows healthy. We don't have very many treated cows at all, so sometimes we have none. So then we'd have to take milk out of the bulk tank. We pasteurize that, and we give that to the calves for feed. But, and if we don't have enough of that and we decide we want to do something different, then we would probably use milk replacer. But since we have the pasteurizer, that's what we've been feeding our calves the last few years for sure.
Why are you giving cows pasteurized milk?
You mean calves pasteurized milk?
Yes, correct. Yeah, the calves. I'm sorry.
Yeah. We give the calves pasteurized milk just like, why we would drink the milk. There could be bacteria in it. It could be anything like that. And we definitely don't want to give the calves any reason to not do as good as they possibly can to their fullest potential. So pasteurize the milk, make sure it's sanitary. I think it has to be at 145 degrees for like 35 minutes. So every bacteria in there is dead, or 99% of them. So then, foodborne diseases won't spread. There's some diseases that go from cow to calf that we don't want the calf to get. So that kills that off, and it makes it so it's a sanitary product for the calf to drink. But yet the nutrients are still there. So I guess it's just like drinking milk that we do out of the carton.
Talking with Dustin Auth this morning with Auth Farms as we spotlight Auth Farms with Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. I guess, wow, so pasteurization is a very, very good thing.
Yeah, I think pasteurization is a very good thing. I mean, there was, we learned about this in school, how important that was for human development. When they got the pasteurizer going, it helped everybody. Otherwise the milk doesn't last very long. That's another problem, So yeah, for our calves, I feel it's been a good move.
So obviously with 500 head, you always have the herd checked by veterinarians. So how often do you have the vet come out?
Well, and that's kind of interesting too. So that happens with my sister and my brother-in-law that do the vet work. So, they're here all the time messing around with their kids and stuff. So if we have a little problem, we look at it as they come. But every Monday morning, my brother-in-law Mike comes and does a herd check with our breeding company, and they go through all the cows, see which ones are pregnant, which ones are open, decide what avenue to take for the treatment to do that. As far as sick cows goes, we do a lot of that ourselves. But if we have something that's over our heads or we get in too deep, then we'll have the veterinarian help us too.
Talking with Dustin Auth this morning with Auth Farms as we spotlight Auth Farms this month with Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. And so, Dustin, with the cows, when you milk them, you do a lot of things as well to protect those cows and the milk. Tell us about, because there's a lot of work it seems like you have to do just before you even decide to put the milker on.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work that needs to be done before that for sure. Like we make sure in our barns all the mattresses are clean. You know, when somebody goes down and brings up the cows, you take a scraper with and scrape all the manure and stuff and then rebed them. We bed them 2 or 3 times a week with fresh sawdust to make sure everything's clean. And we actually remodeled that barn, our big freestyle barn that holds most of our milk cows. We put 24/70 2-inch fans in the end of it, so it's a big tunnel vent. So the wind is just whistling through there. So it keeps everything nice and dry, which we found, you know, that the tunnel vent system we put in, that way we would have less heat stress. We found a lot of different things that it really helped us with. So, you know, everything's dry down there, so our SMAC cell count stays lower, the mastitis stays lower. And then we also run sprinklers on the cows so they get wet in the summertime. And then they, you know, these cows don't sweat. So to cool them off, you need to either get them wet or have wind blowing. And we kind of try to do both with that group of cows. And it seems like it's helped a lot, because if you can keep their stress levels low, you know, it's just like a person. If you are healthy, it's hard to catch a cold. But if you have something else going on, you know, them little illnesses will come and get you. So that's what we try to do.
And for feed, do you have a nutritionist that actually says this is what we need to feed the cows?
Yeah, we've had a nutritionist for a lot of years, the same one, and he's wonderful, you know. So we get a new type of feed in, let's just say new corn silage, and he'll take samples of that, and then he'll tell us what we need to do to change for the newest analysis, and then, you know, we feed a combination of corn silage, haylage, snaplage, rye corn gluten feed, soybean meal, and blah, blah, blah. There's a ton of different things we put in our ration, you know, and it's kind of amazing, you know, you do one little change to one little thing, and you can really see a difference in how much milk we're getting or the components that we're producing, you know, stuff like that. And Kevin does a wonderful job for us. We're really lucky to have him.
Talking with Dustin Auth with Auth Family Farms. Again, we're spotlighting the Auth Farms this week with Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. Coming up, we're going to continue our conversation with Dustin, find out about all that feed that they have to grow here on the farm and how they protect the land and the water too. We're going to find out more here coming up tomorrow. You're listening to WRDN.